Hey guys, it's Arush, and this is episode 8 of FTC Files. And today we have a really special team from North California. Please welcome Future, FTC 14473. So, do you guys want to quickly introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hi, I'm Navish. I am on mechanical. I've been doing FTC for 4 years now. And you guys just can call me Nav.
Oh, hey, I'm Kyle. I've been on Future for like 2 years now, same as Nav. I'm on software and I also do outreach as well.
Yeah, it's really great to meet you guys. I know we had a small conversation before the recording, and I got to know a little bit about your team. So I'm super excited because you have some really cool stuff, and you've prepared a lot of content, which is great. So hopefully the rookies can learn a lot from this. We haven't done an episode in a while, so it's really nice that you guys wanted to share your stuff. So thank you so much for coming on. And as you can see, we have this new format here today. So hopefully the videos that will come out now for FTC Files will be a lot cleaner, more well-paced, and more content for the rookies and other people who want information. So again, thank you for coming, and I guess we can jump right in. So before we get started, do you guys want to talk a bit about how your season's going so far, how the virtual environment's treating you, general things like that?
Yeah, so just like almost every other team out there, nothing's working. But we're trying with the given COVID restrictions. Only one person, 2 people in the garage at once, social distancing. Things get delayed all the time. I think everything is going pretty good. We have a nice design going on.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah, COVID is almost there. It's kind of like the final push now. Just hoping that vaccines can, take care of a lot of stuff, and people are getting more vigilant, hopefully. So maybe we can have a latter half of the normal season, hopefully. Fingers crossed. But
Is it bad in New Jersey too?
So New Jersey was bad before. Now it's kind of okay. A lot of people have realized that, social distancing and masks are always good. So we're seeing a lot of drop in the cases. And that allows us to have a little more people in the place we build, which is at an academy. So hopefully now it's going to, smooth sailing from here. All right. So I guess we can jump right in. Do you guys want to talk a bit about your team, some stuff about your team summary, or just highlight some really cool things about your team?
Yeah, so our team has been around for 3 years. This is our 3rd year now, but and it was founded by a guy who's in college now, who was on a different team. And funny enough, half of our team is from that same team, but that doesn't really matter. We've been we call it just chaos. There's really nothing else to do, because our whole motto for past 2 years is, if it works, it works. So we have we had no coach, no organization, nothing like that. But we've kind of developed a method that we hope we can share with you guys today.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds great.
Oh yeah, if I want to add something about that is, we're completely student run, so there's practically no adults. The adults, they used to drive us to competitions. Now they kind of just sign our forms that say yeah, you can sign up for this competition.
Yeah.
But since it's mostly student run, everything's pretty chill. And honestly, sometimes it's okay to have kind of just be a little bit spontaneous and have fun. I know the other day we just took a heat gun and we tried to mold one of our 3D prints because it wasn't working. And I feel that wouldn't really fly on not a super serious team. But we were kind of chill, but then we also we're trying to be really good about executing and doing well. So kind of like a experiment trial, that
yeah,
student run teams
a hybrid.
can also hybrid. Student run teams can do really well too.
Mm-hmm.
And be chill.
Yeah. And another example of that is on those I think 12, another late night, one in the morning, right? And we just realized things wouldn't be working. So instead of doing the proper thing, which everybody watching, please don't do this. Go to your Fusion 360, CAD this, properly do this. But we just decided to cut a hole straight in the robot. So we just took a drill and used it as a saw and just cut a hole into it to figure out the problem. In retrospect, that wasn't a good idea, but hey, we learned.
Yeah, but it ended up working.
Yeah, that that's a really funny story. Yeah, your team seems really chill too, which is great. Do you guys want to start talking a bit about your kind of your documentation, or touch upon a few things on maybe a screen share? Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. So what you guys can see on screen right now is kind of what we call our one-pager. And how this work was in in-person competitions is when we're giving our presentation, the judges would kind of have this kind of like as a overview of our team, almost like a flyer that kind of explains everything we're up to. So this is just like, a nice summary of about maybe one or two of our outreach things with page numbers they can refer to into the engineering notebook. You got some software things. You have a picture of our robot with like elements into it. It's just very simple, kind of like, boom, this is us. And I definitely recommend this to teams because this is a kind of a good way to transition judges into kind of what they're getting into in your team, because every team is different, and you kind of want to highlight that. Yeah.
I love the way you have this laid out, and this is something rookies can pick up on as well. So I see very clearly the three different panes here. You guys have outreach on the top left, the software on the top right, and then, well, I guess it's more of everything, but a lot of like mainly hardware things at the bottom. And I think this layout is really good. This is like a quick fact sheet you can give to judges or anyone else who wants to get to know a bit about your robot. And your SkySim robot actually looks really cool. I'm just seeing that more in detail. That looks really, really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think this is also, if you're wondering how we did this on Google Slides, actually. So I think especially if you're working on Google Slides or try to make like nice designs in the beginning, Google Slides gives you a lot more flexibility than Google Docs to make kind of like floating images and like floating text versus like having to do the thing in Google Docs, which is kind of hard. And then also it allows a lot of people to work on this at the same time. So like night before the competition, we'll have like 4 or 5 people logged in on this doc. It's like grinding on it.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is really effective, so it probably would have paid off either way. Yeah. Do you guys want to talk more about like starting with documentation, especially for new teams, or do you guys generally have tips or tricks you can give for that?
So I've been on 3 different teams in my career with FTC, and I've seen different ways different teams do it, and I feel like the most effective way is live documentation, which may seem the hardest in the moment, but it pays off because instead of trying to BS what we call meeting notes, which is summary of what we've done in the meeting with pros and cons, analysis, pictures, kind of the whole engineering process in there, instead of fulfilling it up with BS, you have an actual kind of tangible way to show kind of how your robot has evolved. And then you can worry about your like overviews and your nice looking things like the one pager that's being shared right now, because you have the information to plug into there. So what we usually do is during the actual meeting when we're doing it, we just write things down on our phone, and then we can transfer it to like a doc later, or we just take pictures and then we upload it to a Google Drive and kind of put captions on it or anything like that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good tip actually, because one of our coaches always say contemporaneous notes are always better, and that allows you to also retain information, so you're not going back and editing and have a lot of verbatim or fluff in there, which is obviously very important that you don't have in the notebook. You always want to try to make it as realistic to what the actual process was, because judges do want to see like where you failed. Judges do want to see where you messed up, where you learned from your mistakes, and things like that. So it makes you more human as a team. No one's perfect, so I feel like meeting notes are really important. Do you guys have any examples of, if not meeting notes, anything else you would like to share in that regard?
So regarding meeting notes, we don't have anything to share right now because we just couldn't find them. Things get lost. Like I can't even lie about that. We just couldn't find it in the Google Drive. But over here we have kind of our overview kind of notebook. So this is what I was talking about, is when you take your live notes, you can take that information to plug it into like a nice short overview type of thing. So this is kind of our team section, and then you go into your business.
Wow.
And this is just like whatever. This is like type of stuff about how we fund, how we are sustainable, how we kind of are involved in the community, type of things like that. SWOT analysis is very important because no team is perfect, and you need to identify that and show the judges that you are resilient and willing to do it.
I'm just in awe. I was sorry to interrupt. I was just saying I'm in awe of like all the cleanliness and kind of the layout you have going. Like that's really clean. You're fitting so much information in a really easy to read format. I think that's also something just to quickly touch upon because, and you did this all in slides, in Google Slides. Wow, that's really impressive.
This is Google Slides right here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're good at Google Slides.
Yeah,
I think if we could talk about more, is like we don't have like our notebook's like 100 pages, around 100 pages. It's not super chunky. Like I've seen some teams, like I think like Acme had like this like 400-page robot, or like they had like a huge notebook. Someone had a huge notebook, and I think sometimes more is less. And engineering notebook, I think it's better to have quality over quantity because from experience, judges when they look through notebooks, they spot check, not so much as like read the whole thing because it's impossible. And when they spot check and like read one page, you want to make sure that one page is really high quality.
Absolutely.
So, and including drawings as well. It's really nice. I'm not really good at drawing, but like you can see here that we actually just took that off of the internet and then drew boxes on it, and this is our real CAD.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's okay to be completely honest and transparent because you might feel bad like, what's the best team right now? For example, Primitive Data, Curiosity. You're taking watch their videos, take their design, right? Like that's okay. That's the kind of part of the engineering process. You can be honest about it. You can kind of show in their notebook, we found this team. Look at this screenshot over here. So we translate it into our own design here, and that's kind of fine. That's what we try to do.
Yeah. I think a large thing about FTC, which I'm personally not the biggest fan of, is kind of hiding your robot or, well, I wouldn't say hiding your robot. I would just say like making sure that no one has that same design as you. I feel like it's much more important that people learn from each other's mistakes or, kind of get a better understanding of how, the season's going and stuff like that rather than, completely concealing your robot. So I think in that sense, Primitive Data and Curiosity have done a really nice they've done a really good justice to the community in terms of like sharing match videos, and I also believe they have a lot of tutorials on their YouTube channels, which is also really great. So NorCal is really going strong this year. Yeah. Again.
So over here we kind of have our.
Oh, go ahead. Don't worry.
Go ahead. All right. Yeah. So this is kind of our software section, and I'm going to be honest. I don't know how to code, so go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, yeah, so sometimes it seems hard for software to fit into documentation because you think like, where's my CAD render for software? This is a special situation. This is CV here. It's really nice to take pictures of CV stuff. This actually is a screenshot from the RC. So you can see that this has really nice pictures. Something else that, like, besides CV, there are graphs, things that you can do, like for example when you model things you can use graphs as well. This I think was one of our more in-depth mind maps that we wanted to use for software, and the reason why was because a lot of the times like when you start talking about coding, like people who don't do coding, like they turn off their ears, and it's like pretty understandable. Like if you don't understand things,
I relate to that so much. I relate to that so much. I'm trying to explain something. Yeah. Like this year, I don't know if you guys have heard, but like this really concept really for shooting rigs into the high goes known as auto aim, where you like turn and adjust your shooter automatically, stuff like that. I'm just like trying to explain it to like a friend on my team, and he's just like, "Yeah, I think I get it. Don't worry about it." And I'm just like, "Bro, it's good." But the way you have the structure set up, I think is really readable, which is really nice, and it's really easy to understand too, which I think is a really good tip for software. We're guilty in the past of having like more explanations, less structure, like what you have here. In terms of like structure, we didn't really have that in our last season. So I think that's something definitely we want to improve this season, and that just looks really good as well.
Oh yeah, thank you. I think for software, sometimes we're guilty of over-explaining things, and it makes us feel really smart, but then we realize no one else knows what we're talking about. Yeah. Everyone's like, no, that doesn't make sense. We could give you guys some examples of our. So this was that was our CV, but actually our this was our jargon. You can see that there's bunch of words here, some links and things like that. But this is our path planning system, and you can see that here we kind of have something to improve on for this year, 2021, is that kind of just a lot of words everywhere, and it's kind of hard to understand. And this is kind of something that I would say we need to improve on for this year, and then we should stay away from just having these like huge chunks of text that don't really make sense.
No, for sure. I still like how you're like bolding or italicizing certain words. I still think like that's passable, like completely, like as a good notebook still. But I've also never heard of jargon before. How's that working out for you guys? Like, or I'm not completely familiar with that library. Is it from FRC?
Oh, that's a good question. Jargon's actually a library that we made ourselves last year.
Oh, wow.
It's a Quintic spline-based pathing system, and it has like a lot of cool things like PID. Also has like common filters, like really cool things that we call our nuclear warship. This was part of our nuclear warship design, which is like supposed to be able to take on anything, like alien invasion from Mars. But unfortunately, like we don't need a nuclear warship. What we needed was a motorboat to get us from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And so our nuclear reactor kind of broke down, so we weren't able to use jargon. And I think that was one of like our drawbacks, was trying to overcomplicate things. And we still do that this year, but I hope we can do less.
No, we're really guilty of that, especially in hardware this year. Took on a lot of challenges. We don't have that much time, but hopefully it works out at the end. Yeah, I think another thing that is, so for rookies that are wondering more about what you can do with advanced software, I think what Future has is really good. So a lot of people just jump to Roadrunner or something else. I would say like even though Roadrunner is great, and I highly recommend it because our team uses it, it's always better to try to mess around with your things first, because then you can actually understand some of the concepts that goes behind. So like you name drop PID, understanding that controller, how the feedback system works, what each of the values represent, proportional, integral, derivative, and what controls what. I think that's also really important. Before jumping into something. I know this is off track in terms of documentation. I just it's important to say that.
To agree with the same thing, like for odometry, like we saw primitive data, like OpenODometry. Thank you. OpenODometry is like super great. It's it's really awesome. But we were trying to not rationalize. We're trying to figure out like why we didn't just try to use primitive data as odometry. And I feel like there's something rewarding about sometimes just doing it yourself.
Yeah,
I think
for
our
sure.
odometry system isn't as good as the primitive data OpenODometry. So thank you for open sourcing it. And the reason why we're not using it is because like it's not like we want to go into comp and say, oh, we did this all ourselves. That's why we don't want to use primitive data. Like our team, our stuff. It's more like just kind of like curiosity and trying to learn things. Not curiosity to team, like being curious and like trying to figure out how odometry works, because I think it's really great that they open sourced it so we can see what's happening, but until you like really debug it and like you do it yourself, I feel like it's harder to learn some of the things.
Absolutely.
But again, thank you, primitive data.
Completely agree with that. Our team, we did our own odometry system in like August, I would say, September. It was pretty similar to OpenODometry in the sense we used the rotocaster wheels and the ref coders, and we had our own custom casing, and it's sat inside the U channel. But the way we sprung it wasn't necessarily the best. We sprung it using surgical tubing, which was super inconsistent because like we didn't have strings at the time and we got lazy. Guilty of that mistake, but I was talking to Ben, who's on primitive data, and he's like, we're releasing, OpenODo v3, and I hope that's coming out soon. But he said, if you guys want to try it out, you can. So we built the 3 odometry pods for OpenODometry version 3, and we actually bought springs this time, and then that turned out to be much more, more accurate and more reliable for us. But I still think that doing the first version of odometry ourselves, gave us a head start this time in the sense of what we're trying to expect, things that we wanted to improve on, stuff like that. So in that case, again, I completely agree with you. Cool. Do you guys want to talk a bit more about some of the outreach projects you're doing? I know you're doing something really cool, so if you guys want to kind of share that would be great. You're just bringing it up, yeah.
It's sorry. We have like,
No.
you can see all these tabs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
right.
So we won't go through everything because we don't want to like take up all your guys' time. Though everything that you're seeing today, it is in a Google Drive that we're going to give to Arush, and it's
Thank you.
open to the public. So I think on the like gracious professionalism, like sharing everything, outreach is like one of those things that we especially believe in as well, like and sharing everything. So you guys will be able to see this if you guys want to. And again, this is all Google Slides as well. So our outreach program is, I would say, kind of unique because we are trying something that hasn't really, or that we've seen hasn't really been done before.
Mhm.
So before I talk about what our outreach program is, we had to tackle like one of our problems, which was sustainability. And you probably hear this word thrown around a lot, like sustainability, long-lasting impact, things like that. And judges, of course, love to hear that, but outreach for us is more than just something that FTC has us do because it's part of the criteria. It's not for Inspire Award.
Yeah.
Outreach for us is something that we can do to give back to the community, because I think if we all think about it, we came to FTC and we came to First because someone else inspired us.
Absolutely.
That's why it's called First Inspires. And it's kind of our job to pay it forward as well.
Mhm.
So our outreach program is a organization of teachers from various FTC teams and just people from around the community. And what we realized was a problem, which was special education students. Oh, here, let me switch to the other tab actually.
Yeah.
Special education students don't have the same access to STEM opportunities as, say, general education students do.
Mhm.
And I think people in New Jersey can look at Silicon Valley and go like, wait, but you guys are like the heart of technology. You guys are making microchips all the time. And it's like, yeah, we're doing all these cool things, but a lot of the times still lagging behind on special education opportunities. And
Mhm.
Serendipity is the outreach organization that Future basically took our outreach and we made it open sourced. And we call it Serendipity, so that other teams could also join in on this organization as well. And
That's
by
really
including
great.
other people, instead of just being like me, our outreach, like don't touch us, it's actually helping everyone because there's more teachers for the students. And one day when Future gets wiped off from FTC, maybe in a couple years we'll graduate out, there will be more people who are continuing Serendipity and they'll carry it forward. And
That's
engineering's
a
more than
really
just
great
like,
idea. Yeah.
oh, thank you. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, sorry. If there's one more thing I could say is that like engineering is more than just like coding and robotics. It's like
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
not just like a way of thinking and approaching life, but it's also like a community. Like us getting to talk to Arush, like from New Jersey. That's crazy. Like we live so far away, and bringing this community to other students, especially special education students, is really great as well.
I don't know. You guys are definitely the most wholesome team in terms of outreach I've ever seen. Like that idea, that core idea of like sharing and open sourcing basically is really, really, that it's fantastic, really. So, I mean, yeah, just looking stuff from over here, 205 classes, guys. Wow, that's like a lot. God. So how many?
Yeah, so
Oh, go ahead.
basically, when we say open source, we don't mean you can just look at our curriculum and it's open source. We mean you can come with us and we can teach together. We can help you set up a special education robotics outreach all the way in New Jersey. We can take this curriculum and we can just expand. So, if you see this page over here, we have multiple kind of classes that people can just go and just like, hey, can I get involved? Sure, just come to this meeting. Okay, now you're a teacher. Okay, and now you're teaching. And it's just as simple and nice as that.
I think
Yeah.
now, could you also expand on like some of the curriculum that we have? Like we have our normal FLL curriculum, which is like inspiring FLL students to get interested in FLL to join FTC. But I think more important than that is what we do like for under-resourced communities as well, like starting with robotics curriculum.
Yeah. So, as you guys have probably been in the FIRST community for a while, you've heard about the importance of being involved in the FIRST community, like, FLL mentorship, FTC mentorship. So we kind of decided, everybody does that, so we can do that too, but we want to do something a little bit different. So we started with identifying the problem with special education. And we did a few more things, like a few years back. like foster children and low income. But we kind of wanted to put all the resources into one thing so we can make the most impact, which was special education. And we kind of had 3 different types of curriculum for these guys, which was Lego robotics. So these were, your FLL kits, We Do 2.0 kits, and this was back pre-COVID days. Seems so long now, and that's what we did there. And then we also did. Now what we transitioned to is Scratch classes, which is just retro games, any projects there like that. And then for some of our more advanced students, we would sometimes even do Python classes.
Wow.
And the really cool thing about these curriculums is they build off of each other every week to learn, so they can learn different concepts. And each concept that they learn has some sort of meta level where they can apply it to their real life. Because, with special education students, some of these guys, can't, need people's help to get ready in the day. And what they're learning from this can actually affect them in the real life and kind of show them, hey, this isn't like what I'm learning. What I'm learning in school can actually, I could actually do this. I can be like everybody else and make a really cool robot and do really crazy things.
Yeah, 100%. Wow, that again, wholesome. Really, that's really nice what you guys are doing. Giving back to the community. Kyle mentioned that at the start. It seems like you guys have a really strong plan and a focus, and obviously the documentation's all there. So, but really, I think the best part about what you guys are doing is, the core idea and the main theme here, which is, giving back, helping people out. So that's really great. I think we're just out of time in terms of, how long this episode can be. But thank you so much, guys, for coming on. I definitely learned a lot, and I know that you guys have, you're going to go strong this year, 100%, I know. But again, thank you guys so much for coming on, and I'll catch all of you in the next episode. Right, bye everyone.
Thank you.